This week on the agenda, with just a matter of weeks to go before Paris 2024's opening ceremony, we're here at the headquarters of the International Olympic Committee in Lausanne to speak exclusively to its president, Thomas Bach. In just a few weeks' time, the Games of the 33rd Olympiad, or Paris 2024 as it's rather better known, will begin. It claims it will be the largest and most sustainable Games ever. But what does Paris 2024 really say about the state of the Olympic movement? I'm here in Lausanne to speak exclusively to the president of the International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach. We're only a matter of weeks away from the Paris 2024 Games. What do you think is going to mark these Olympic Games out from any other?
These Olympic Games are happening on a very complex backdrop with all the geopolitical tensions we have in this world, with wars and conflicts. I think what will be very important will be the message of having really the entire world coming peacefully together. What is not possible at this moment in other areas of life. It's only the Olympic Games, it appears, who can manage this at this time. And then there will be the first Olympic Games following our Olympic agenda reforms. That means these will be games which will be more inclusive, will be more urban, will be younger, will be more sustainable. And it will be the very first Olympic Games in our history with full gender parity on the field of play. Exactly 50% of the athletes will be female and 50 will be male, because we have allocated this parity quota to all the sports and all the national Olympic committees.
There are so many things that you've mentioned there that I want to dig in deeper with. But let me start off with this notion of the peace and unity that you've mentioned before, and that the Games brings. You talked already about this uncertain backdrop we've got with conflicts in the Middle East, in Ukraine, just to start with. I mean, what impact do you think that will be having? I mean, do you think we might get the global ceasefire that Presidents Xi and Macron talked about in Paris recently?
First of all, I think it makes this symbol of the Olympic Games even more important. If you get the entire world together in a situation where everybody loves everybody, it's not so significant. But in this extremely complicated world situation, to have at least one event which brings the world together makes it important. And I don't know about you, but wherever I go, people are asking me about Paris, and the anticipation is great for one reason. When you dig a little bit deeper, they all, maybe like all of us, but they all are fed up. They are fed up with wars, conflicts, hate, aggression, division. The people and we all in our hearts are longing for something what brings us together, what gives us hope, what gives us some optimism for the future. And there the Games can be such a symbol. We will not be able, and we were never able to create peace. This is for the political world, but we can show that living peacefully together is possible.
I know that the IOC doesn't want to get into the politics of it, but it's a tricky tightrope to walk, isn't it?
It is, but you have to draw the fine line between political neutrality, what does not mean apolitical. The world is run by politics, not by sports organizations. And this that we have to recognize. And therefore, yes, we have to have dialogue with politics. We have to try to understand politics, and we have to try to convince the politics on the other hand, to respect our role. That our role is not to contribute to even more division, that our role is to unite. And you can only unite if you're neutral. If you take a position for one or the other, you cannot unite anymore. And this is the fine line. Having this dialogue, being political in this way, but being politically neutral.
Let's talk about technology, because I know there is lots of exciting stuff going on around the games. It obviously becomes more and more advanced with each games. What innovations are you most excited about for 2024?
Oh, there are so many. I could speak about the CMG with 8K production, which will be fascinating to see. We will have use of AI in many productions with our OBS programs, which will lead to more engagement, which will lead to more personalized offers for everybody. We will, with the digital means and with the digital platforms, we can there get across all 11,000 hours of production, which we will have by our TV branch OBS over the period of these games. We will have, with the assistance of AI, safeguarding programs for athletes against online abuse, where you can expect billions of tweets and engagements in the social media, and therein in real time, with the help of AI, we can safeguard the athletes. So there is a lot. It's just one of the very few examples.
So technology is going to change the Olympic experience for athletes, for administrators, for spectators. How might advances in technology help with anti-doping? I wonder if it is still a very real issue in sport. So how are you employing that?
I know that WADA is also working on this and trying to exploit the potential AI is offering or will be offering in this respect. And there I hope they will make good progress and will join there in this way our efforts, which we have launched with our Olympic AI agenda.
Now, one non-technological first for these games is going to be money for track and field. That's a long way from the amateur Olympic ideal, isn't it? I wonder, what's your take then?
No, that's not. This is not the question. There is prize money in the Olympic Games since decades at least. I got prize money for my gold medal in 1976 from or through my National Olympic Committee. It's not the question of prize money, and many athletes got it in the past through their National Olympic Committees, through their governments, through their sponsors. There is prize money for a very, very long time, and in my times as one of the founding members of the IOC Athletes Commission, I've even been fighting for prize money to be allowed, what was not allowed before. So this is nothing new. This is a question of responsibility. Who in this Olympic movement has the responsibility for what? And you cannot in an uncoordinated way really support the athletes and the teams in an efficient way. And there you have the role of the National Olympic Committees. Their role is to prepare the best athletes of their NOC for the Games. And if they think that their prize money helps, they are paying for a long time, and this is fine. And you have sponsors, they are paying, and this is fine. And then you have the role of international federations, and the role of international federations is different. The athletes are competing as their national team. So the support for the athletes at this event is for their national team. The international federations have to make sure that their sport is being developed worldwide, that the gap between athletes from privileged and less privileged countries is at least narrowed. And this solidarity effort, is not being addressed if you reward 48 athletes out of the 2,000 who are participating and out of the tens of thousands who would like to participate in the Olympic Games.
Another huge issue in sport is that of transgender athletes competing, particularly transgender women competing against cisgender women. What's your take on that?
There is no one-size-fits-all solution. This issue must be looked at it very differently, let's say, from dressage in equestrian and weightlifting. And therefore, the IOC take is twofold. That we say on the grassroots level, everybody must have access to sport. There can be no difference. When it comes to competition, when it comes to organized competition, then the respective federation or sports authority or sports event organizer has to make sure that it is a fair competition. This is, every athlete has the right to have access to a fair competition. So this is the prerogative. And in order to determine what is fair in a particular discipline, in a particular sport, then you have to make a scientific evaluation. You have to consult with everybody concerned. You have to consult with women athletes. You have to consult with transgender athletes. You have to consult with scientists. You have to consult with ethics and to get a real comprehensive base, and then to take the decision for your sport, for your discipline, what is fair.
Do you think it's fair, or do you maintain that it's complicated?
No, again, what I'm saying, it is fair if you apply the respective standards according to the respective sports and disciplines.
We'll pause there for a moment, but do stay with us here on The Agenda for more from Thomas Bach as we discuss the business of the Olympics and the sports he's most looking forward to at Paris 2024.
We are all connected. Across borders, across continents, connected by ideas, a shared humanity. Stay connected.
Welcome back to The Agenda from the International Olympic Committee headquarters here in Lausanne. And let's return now to my exclusive interview with IOC President Thomas Bach. Let's talk about driving growth. I mean, under your leadership, there's no doubt you've managed to drive revenue at the IOC, growing those top-level sponsors that you've mentioned, signing that NBC deal that lasts until, I think, 2032. I mean, how do you make sure
Don't forget CMG.
Don't forget CMG, of course not. But how do you make sure that that Olympic spirit still stays pure in an increasingly commercial world of sport?
We are not driving growth for the sake of driving growth. we are driving growth to ensure more solidarity in the world of sports. Again, we are distributing 90% of all our revenues to the development of sport, to support athletes at all levels, to support NOCs, organizing committees, everybody. Every day, every single day, 4.2 million US dollars are going from us to the development of world sports. And these are our efforts. We want to have even more solidarity. It's not for creating more revenues, it is to have more solidarity among all the athletes from all the 206 national Olympic committees.
Let's talk about China, a huge country with deep pockets. They've hosted summer games and winter games recently. What role do you see China having within the Olympic movement?
China is playing an extremely important role in the Olympic movement, as it does in the world. And therefore, not only with the organization of these two Olympic Games recently, we're also looking to and with China to the future. We just had a couple of days even ago the first ever Olympic qualifier series in Shanghai with a huge success, with a new and young sports being presented in an extraordinary way, and already with great Chinese athletes. You will see a very strong Chinese team then in Paris. We have an excellent cooperation with the Chinese Olympic Committee, who is actively taking part in all our programs, is actively taking part in the Olympic summits. We are talking about development of AI. We are talking about the development of e-sports and so on. So China is extremely important.
Talking to you and your team over the years, I know that the most important thing is that the games happen on time, but you're less concerned about whether or not it's on budget. Cost, though, is a huge issue. I mean, Rio was, many people called it a financial disaster. Tokyo was delayed by a year and was spectator-free because of COVID. What do you do to control costs?
Well, we have controlled costs, and we take this very seriously. You know, the games, in the last 20 years, the budget of the organizing committees have all been balanced, if not made a surplus. And when you say Rio was a financial disaster, Brazil was a financial disaster at the moment when we arrived. They were maybe in the worst economic crisis of their country ever. Still, the organizing committee came out with a balanced budget. Thanks to all the efforts we undertook together with the international federations, with the national Olympic committees, the budget was balanced, as it was, again, for all the games in the last 20 years.
One of the changes you introduced as president of the IOC was this 2020 plus 5 initiative, the roadmap for greater solidarity, sustainability, which you've highlighted, credibility and resilience by 2025. We're almost there. Are we on track?
Yes, and you will see the final results then next year. We are on track. There is still also some things to do, but we are.
Okay, so what
really
do you still need to do?
On track. What we still need to do, and that we will see the effects in Paris now, is the engagement with the wider public, the engagement with other areas of society, with target groups. We have not fully reached until now. That we spoke about the world of culture, for instance, to whom we are reaching out. And all this together with regard to credibility, we are there with our annual reports, audited internally. We are considered there to be the leader in governance in the world of sports. In the meantime, we have many other initiatives with regard to the credibility. We have co-founded together with the governments the IPEX initiatives, which is against corruption in sport. With regard to sustainability, we have launched the sport for climate action, for which we have in the meantime 260 signatories in the world of sports. We have engaged even more in the assistance for refugees, not only with our refugee Olympic team, but also with our Olympic Refuge Foundation in cooperation with UNHCR. There at the last Refugee Global Summit, we have made a pledge there for the support of sport for refugees, to which different organizations have in the meantime committed $50 million and so on. So we are on track, and final results when it comes to 2025.
I know that Paris is being billed as the most sustainable Games ever, and sustainability is a huge issue, but it's one with moving targets. Can you ever really have a sustainable Olympic Games?
Yeah, but this is it depends on your definition. You know what we can say with Paris. We will be ahead of the Paris Climate Agreement. Paris is on track to reduce the carbon footprint by 50%, to halve it, compared to the emissions of London and Rio. This 50% target has been set by the Paris Climate Agreement for 2030. So we will be there already in 2024, and we hope very much that our US friends will feel inspired by this and will make all the efforts. And then from 2030 on, you have in the host city contract the obligation for the reduction of the carbon footprint and the sustainability. And as an organization, we have been trying by leading through example, as we always try to do. You're sitting here in Olympic House, which at the time of the opening, there 5 years ago, we had the CEO of the biggest and highly recognized and with a high reputation certification institute here, LEED, who said that at this moment you could consider this building as the most sustainable office building in the world. And I hope we are still on the podium, but for sure you're sitting here in one of the most sustainable buildings in the world. We are reducing our footprint with regard to travel and overall by 30% this year for 2024, and we will achieve, hopefully, and we are on track, the 50% reduction for 2050.
You mentioned your American friends, and of course you have Los Angeles 2028 already firmly in the diary, Brisbane in 2032, both in countries which have hosted numerous Olympics Games before. When might we see a Middle Eastern or an African Olympic host?
I hope soon that we, have made this very clear with regard to Africa. When I started my presidency, there I said, dreaming of something, and that would be to have Olympic Games in Africa. But we had to realize that this that was not possible for different circumstances. So then we decided to give, not to have a kind of tender or competition, but to give the Youth Olympic Games to Africa and to Senegal, to Dakar, to show, how much we appreciate the contribution of Africa to the world of sport, and that we want to drive them even further and want to make them even stronger. Then, because of COVID, these games which were planned for 2022 had to be postponed, but we will have it now in 2026, and I hope that we can fill the white spots, of which Africa is not the only one, in the future, also in this regard, to show the universality of the games. And this is part of our motivation for many of our Olympic agenda programs, to make it possible for more countries, also for smaller countries, to organize Olympic Games.
Away from all the politics, the finances, the logistical headaches, at the end of the day, it's all about sport. So what, or perhaps I should say who, are you most looking forward to at the Paris 2024 Games?
I'm looking forward to enjoy the greatest privilege as IOC president. And this is that you can manage to see all sports. This was always my dream from the very beginning when I attended Olympic Games, be it as an Athletes Commission member. As an athlete, it was of course not possible, but then an Athletes Commission member, later as an IOC member. I even had a bet with the one colleague who had the same ambition. And so we were betting who would be the first to manage to see all sports in one edition of the Games. And this bet was made in 1992 in Barcelona. And we both never made it. And then came my election. And then in Rio, with the privilege of an IOC president, I made it. So I went back to him and said, listen, I've made it, but I consider this not to be, our winning our bet, because I was enjoying an unfair advantage with the privilege of an IOC president. So we were then sharing the bottle of wine, which was the money, not the money, which was the price for the bet. This we were then sharing together, and I'm looking forward to repeat this in Paris.
Thomas Bach, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You can watch every episode of The Agenda in full on CGTN Europe's YouTube channel. And for exclusive extra content from me, my guests and the rest of the team, don't forget to check out @The Agenda Show on TikTok. Coming up on a future agenda, what do the EU election results really tell us about the future of Europe? But for now, from me, Juliet Mann, and from all the Agenda team here in Lausanne, goodbye.